You're listening to People Powered Radio 2XX FM 98.3, streaming from our website 2xxfm.org.au. Community radio in Canberra since 1976, a volunteer-based organisation enabling individuals and groups within our community to participate in creating a diverse alternative to mainstream radio. You can support your community radio with your subscription, donation or sponsorship, or by volunteering on the air or behind the scenes. Find out more by visiting our website 2xxfm.org.au.
Hi, this is Carlton Jamel Smith, and you're listening to Liquid Sunshine with my main man, Maarten Vlot. He plays the best funk, the best disco, the best boogaloo and beats. You know, all the good stuff. All the good stuff, yeah. Liquid Sunshine, Liquid Sunshine, Liquid Sunshine. The music's hot with Maarten Vlot. Hey, Liquid Sunshine, Liquid Sunshine, Liquid Sunshine. Tune in to Maarten Vlot and Liquid Sunshine. You'll be glad that you did. Yes, you will. All right.
Hello, groovers. Welcome to Liquid Sunshine. You're listening to Liquid Sunshine on People Powered Radio Station 2XXFM in Canberra. And at the Liquid Sunshine Discotheque, we play the best deep funk, rare groove, disco, beats, all the good stuff. My name is Maarten Vlot, and I'm your host for tonight. In fact, I'm your host every Liquid Sunshine program. Now, next month, we'll see the release of Amazing Grace, the movie. It's a movie that documents the recording of the Amazing Grace album by Aretha Franklin, which was recorded over 2 live sessions, 2 nights in a church. And it's an amazing album. In fact, it's her best-selling album. And the documentary is going to be absolutely awesome. I think I'm going to cry all the way through. It looks so good. It's upswinging, it's uplifting, it's upbeat. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Playing, uplifting, upbeat, gospel, disco, funk all night long. And I promise you, by the end of this show, you'll be dancing on top of the table and praising the Lord as well. It's going to be awesome. Enjoy. We're going to start off with some good choir tracks. And of course, Aretha Franklin herself.
We're on our way. Thank you.
Oh my God. There is just so much that's good in there. It's really astounding. It's truly astounding. With the album Amazing Grace, he said the R&B vocabulary for the next 50 years, really. R&B singers still use what she's doing on that record. And it's just, it makes you want to praise the Lord. Now, I grew up in the Bible Belt in the Netherlands, and, Dutch Christianity is not necessarily the most uplifting type of Christianity. So much so that I had to run away, and I'm now in Australia. But this record, it does make you want to praise the Lord. It really does. And, I don't want to say that gospel actually, that funk was born out of gospel, but the two of them are absolutely intertwined. Now, let's move on a little bit. Amazing Grace was a light for many, many artists. Not the less for James Brown. Let's try that out. There was Pastor T.L. Barrett and the Youth for Christ Choir. Pastor Barrett, he says himself he's not a professional. He's never had any formal music training and he plays what he hears and writes what he feels. However, he believes that one can do all things through Christ that strengthens him. The Youth for Christ believe it also, and I think you will be able to detect in their vibrant voices a deep, abiding faith. Comes from an album. There was a track like a ship without a sail. Comes from the self-titled album. And before that, of course, we had James Brown with The Old Landmark. Comes from the Blues Brothers soundtrack. That's how far gospel and funk are intermeshed. And the Blues Brothers, of course, they did it very wise to have James Brown do this gospel song in church, because the funk is the church. Now, two more oddball choir tracks. First, we're going to the Voices of East Harlem. As another example that gospel and funk are intertwined, the Voices of East Harlem were a community choir in, well, I suspect East Harlem, early 70s. And they were started off to keep the kids off the street. Not necessarily Christian, not necessarily agnostic, but great, great tracks. So let's check it out.
Flying bird, fly on. I want the clouds over my head, over my head, over my head. I don't want no snowboard day, yeah. Snowboard day, snowboard day. I'm gonna live until mother, save your child. Ride on, be free, be free. Ride on, be free. Ride on, be free. I don't want no snowboard day. Ride on, I want the clouds over my head. Be free. Ain't no time to live afraid. Mother, save your child. here tomorrow night. Yeah. Said we're going right on, be free. Going right on, got to be free. Right on, got to be free. Right, right, got to be free. Right, got to be free. Then we're going right on, we're going right on, we're going right on, got to be free.
Find yourself feeling kinda bad. I said, don't give up, no, don't give up. Just take your brother's hand. If the spirit's down and the devil's trying to get all in your way, I said, break the arm up to give the power to push on one more day. Let me hear you say, keep a holding on, keep a holding on. Keep a holding on, keep a holding on. Yeah, keep holding on, keep holding on.
If you see your brothers or your sister walk around with a sad face, I feel watching for your people, don't let them go astray.
All you got to do is put your hand in the sun and say, you're wrong, you won't let you down. We'll show you where you're bound. Holding on, keep on holding on. Oh, keep on holding on. Ooh, keep on holding on. Keep on holding on. Holding on. Keep on holding on. Can't see that we're living in the process of revelation. I say it's fighting all over the world. I say they're fighting over all the world. Don't you know that the riches of the earth is almost gone? I say they're still digging them up now. Every day and all day long. Sisters and brothers are walking in hand. Cause this world right here can't stand another chance.
Let me hear you say,
Holding on, keep on holding on.
I say it one more time.
Holding on, keep on holding on. Holding on, ooh, keep holding on. Keep on holding on.
Citizens who living in the time of the last days, listen to your mothers, listen to your fathers, do whatever they say.
Do your children like mopping the floors. Don't forget to do what they say. Cause your day will come like man will come. And we'll be out here again. Let me hear you say, holding on. Keep a holding on. Keep holding on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Whoa, keep holding on. Keep holding on. People. And holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And holding on. And holding on. And holding on. Holding on. Holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And holding on. And holding on. And holding on. Holding on. And holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And holding on. And holding on. And holding on. Holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And holding on. And holding on. And holding on. Holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. Keep holding on. And holding on. And holding on. And holding on.
Yeah, that was the Soul Messengers with Keep On Holding On. And there's a bit of a backstory to the Soul Messengers as well. I'm not entirely familiar with it, but in the early 70s they did a lot of concerts and gigs in Israel and on a lot of military bases. And from there on, they really grew into this big gospel band, ultimately releasing an album all recorded in Hebrew. And before that, we had the Voices of East Harlem, also gospel, but not quite. But, you know, you can hear the line, how it goes together. I love this kind of stuff. Now, we're going to move on to a little bit of disco gospel funk. But before we do that, I'd like to, take it down a little bit in a kind of different way. We're going to listen to a track from Brooke Benton, one of my favorite gospel tracks, because it's really, really muted, but it's so exuberant. He takes it up a notch in only one chorus, but it reverberates through the whole track. And in order to get this track started, we really need a little bit of quietness. And I recommend to actually turn it up. It's a really, really slow track, but it's so beautiful, and it's the sun shining straight into your house.
Oh, happy day. Oh, it was a happy day when Jesus washed all of my sins away. He just washed them away. It was a happy day. Talking about a happy day when Jesus washed all of my sins away. He just washed them away. He taught me how to watch, fight, and pray and live rejoicing every day. Man, it was a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, it was a happy day. Oh, happy day. When Jesus washed. Oh, he walked right in and washed. When Jesus washed. He just cleansed my soul. When Jesus washed all my sins away. And it was a happy day. When Jesus washed, when Jesus washed, oh, when Jesus washed all of my sins away, it was a happy day.
So that needed a little bit of quietness on both sides of that track. And did you think that he would, belt it out again at the end of the track? It was building up to that, but instead he just exudes his calm beauty of his faith. It's an exceptional track. But with all the Liquid Sunshine programs, we always end up banging it up a bit at the end. And I've got more tracks that are still uplifting. So let's bring it on.
My mind is clear now. At last, all too well, I can see where we are. Soon we'll be. If you strip away the myth from the man, you will see where we are. Soon we'll be. You started to believe the things they say of you. You really do believe this talk of a God is true. And all the good you've done will soon get swept away. You begin to matter more than the things you say. Listen, Jesus, I don't like what I see. All I ask is that you listen to me. And remember, I'm in your right hand, man, all alone. Oh, yes, I am. Yeah. You have set them all on fire. They think they found the new Messiah, and they'll hurt you when they find their own. Jesus, oh Jesus. Oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, yeah, Jesus, I'm calling on Jesus, oh Jesus,
Be careful. Everybody ought to be careful. So be careful. Careful how you treat your neighbor. Careful how you treat your friend. Same thing you say about them children. You're gonna hear those same words again. Let me tell you this, you listen.
Somebody's watching you.
God got his eye on you.
Somebody's watching you.
See everything you do.
Somebody's watching you.
God sure got his eye on
Somebody's watching you.
you. See everything you do.
Somebody's watching you.
Somebody sure watching.
Somebody's watching you.
Somebody sure watching.
Somebody's watching you.
God got his eye on you.
Somebody's watching you.
Let me tell you this.
Throwing around, hide your hand, talking about
That ain't right.
hello,
That ain't right.
watching you.
sure watching you.
Somebody's watching you.
Somebody sure watching you.
Somebody's watching you.
Somebody sure watching you.
Somebody's watching you.
Somebody sure watching you.
Somebody's watching you.
Oh, I got it right on me.
Somebody's watching you. Oh, listen to me, what I got to say. If God ain't real, I wanna know who is dead. Makes me cry sometime. If God ain't real, I wanna know who is dead. Makes me walk right. If God ain't real, oh, who is that? Makes me cry sometime. And listen.
Yes, God is real.
Oh, yes, it is.
Real in my soul.
So what?
Yes, God is real.
Oh, yes, it
Real
is.
in my soul.
Oh, Lord, I know He's real to me. Way down. Oh, after a while, I'm going on home. I'm gonna tell all of my friends trouble I'm having down here. I'm gonna shout for joy. Oh, yes, I am. Oh, look out, John. That's the word to me, Lord. Listen.
Yes, God is real.
I know He is.
Real in my soul.
What?
Yes, God is real.
Oh, yes, He is.
Real in my soul.
Oh, Lord, I know He's real to me. Way down. Oh, look out, Johnny. There's the wicked man. They are going on. Still alive in your name. But I'm here today, Lord. Tell them that you is real. You're real to me.
Coming on strong. Coming on, stand tall.
Do you hear what the folks are saying? Do you know of the dues that they are paying? Tell the world there's a new dawn that's appearing. 'Cause we're
Coming on strong.
gonna stand long. All right now, yeah. Lord have mercy. I said that we are, and we stand long. All the poor said we need a good education, while the rich say go out and take a long vacation. You better listen to this younger generation, 'cause we're coming on strong, Lord. Oh yeah, oh yeah, Lord have mercy, we're coming on, and we stand long. We are pushed and stride through this great big city, but I want you to know we don't need no pity. coming on, and we're coming on strong. I said we are coming on, and we're standing on. All right now, yeah. Lord have mercy. We are coming on.
Yeah, some really dirty funk there. Good dirty gospel funk. Can't beat that. And again, you know, I come back to this again and again. This was all recorded mid-70s. So I don't want to say it started with Aretha Franklin, because it didn't. But you can see the legacy that she created with her album Amazing Grace. And the legacy that gospel left within funk as well. Lots of these incredible musicians came out of the church, and most of them, they practice in the church. And why? Well, that was the only place that they could practice, and that they could learn an instrument, and that they could learn an instrument without being harassed. So that's why the church has been so incredibly influential. Now, I started this show off with Aretha Franklin. Another one that has been on my mind lately is the Joubert singers. They released a track late 70s. Again, beautiful, beautiful gospel disco funk. And it's been doing the rounds on the internet a little bit lately. Check out your Facebook feed for Joubert singers. It's a wonderful, uplifting track done by, recently done by a choir, and it works perfectly. I'm going to play you a rework by one of my favorite producers, a French guy who goes by the name of Patchworks. This is the Joubert singers.
That's how he works. That's how the good Lord, he works. That's how he works. That's how the good Lord, he works.
what you wanna be, to go where you need to go in life, to do the things you need to do for yourself. All you gotta do is believe. Just hold on and believe in yourself. Just hold on and don't let go in life. Just hold on, 'cause everything will be all right. Hey, all you gotta do is hold on every day of your life. All you gotta do is hold on. Everything will be alright. If you believe, somehow or another you find a way. Just believe. I know that you will. Don't let nobody hold you back, no. Believe in yourself. Keep on the right track, yes. Believe in yourself. I know you can make it. To do what you wanna do, to do what you need to do all that will make you happy in your life. All you gotta do is believe in yourself. Yeah, everything will be alright. Tomorrow won't be like it was before. If you have some problem and you need to solve it, just believe that everything will be alright. Oh yeah, when your friends turn their back on you and you ain't got nobody to talk to.
How unusual. We go out with a banger. We started off the show with a couple good banging tracks, and we finish it off. This was Jocelyn Brown with the Ministers de la Funk doing the track Believe. Believe in yourself. I hope you got a bit of a appreciation of the legacy of gospel in funk and even in modern house music, as you can hear. God, I love this track. I play this loud, and so should you. Now, before we go, you've been listening to Liquid Sunshine on the people-powered radio station 2XX FM. I'm Maarten Vlot, and 19 July, next week, Friday, we're doing a fundraising event at Verity 112 on Alinga Street in the Sydney building. 2XX's best DJs, amongst me, Mick Degger, Madari, Rafa Chango, special guest of Deejay La Cruz, Sam and Tidy, KG, everyone will be there playing the best tunes all night long. This was Liquid Sunshine.